Why the hell is the bald man from Mad Father here? The student council guy is actually Org from Mad Father, only without his hat. My jaw dropped when I saw that Mad Father because what? Why does he look like that one guy? The student council president is also a character in that game. Which one though? I think he should have made a video on Mad Father first, since they are kind of the before Misao. A lot of things happening in Misao and characters are from Mad Father. When you have time, you should get into it. You'll be surprised. And oh boy, Karma, I think I will. Lots, and I mean lots of people were really surprised about Misao connecting to Mad Father. And hell, so am I. Let's get to the bottom of this. How deep does this connection truly go? Obviously, we're going to go through the game in its entirety, all the endings, all the lore, and then we're going to try to make some type of connection, and then we're going to have a fleshed out timeline. Of course, that's assuming if we can even comprehend and put together a coherent timeline. If you are just interested in the analysis, make sure to make use of the time codes and chapters below. And also, if you're new here, please like, comment, and subscribe. Do the Holy Trinity for me. But actually, hold out on that subscribing part, because low-key, high-key, I want you to make it a good bit into the video so that way you know exactly the vibe you're going to get. And then you can choose whether you want to become a part of the community or if you just want to be a passerby. Now, without further ado, let's get into the game. Let's get into the events of Mad Father. The game begins with a young child calling for her father. Father? Father, are you there? Father! Aya, how many times have I told you not to come down here? Sorry, Father. But, I'm just too scared to sleep on my own. Aya. Don't worry, you're never alone. Your late mother is always there, at your side. She's always watching over you, Aya. Okay, now, please, go to bed. Yes, Father. Good girl. Father, tomorrow's? Yes, the anniversary of her death. We'll visit her grave together. Okay. Now, back to bed, please. I'll be resting too shortly. Yes, Father. Stop! No! Ah! Help me! Help! She would explain that she loves her father, but understands what he does is not exactly good, so she tries to ignore it the best she can. She believes because her mother loved her father that she needs to love him equally because he has to be a good person. Then she lets on a secret. The father was cheating on the mother while the mother was still alive, with his colleague of all people. The woman that helps him with his research, he's having sex with the lady. I would go back to her room and look around at some things. Some of the more important bits would be a very lifelike doll that was given to her by her father, who I'm already thinking, I think they just gave a doll that was once a human as a birthday present or something crazy. And then we see a portrait of her mother, who's a goddamn baddie, golly! But Aya would go to bed as she's a bit spooked from being all alone. She would dream of a scene where her father and herself were spending some quality good time together. She was singing while he was making something. That something turned out to be a flower crown, and he puts it on her head. The mother would walk out and smile as the two are having a good time. The game did a really good job at showing how the two of them obviously have some tension, some marital issues, but they are mature enough to not let it show in front of Aya. Like, no arguments were made, but a certain love just wasn't there. It felt too transactional. But the mother says how she made steak for dinner, and everyone gets excited. Yippee. And oh yeah, she's sick, and that illness is actually what took her off this earth. Aya would then awaken at midnight. Hearing strange noises, she'd go outside and encounter monsters? She would get spooked and retreat into her room, and guess fucking what? It is our boy, Onigahara. What is his name? In this game, he's called Org. And honestly, this dude is like that one friend that has like 5 different jobs. He explains to us that we have ended up in that half-living, half-dead area that we saw in Misao. All of the ghosts are walking around here. They're our father's victims, the aftermath of his research, which is even worsened by the fact that there was a little boy ghost. So we're now all led to believe that he killed a child.
This way. Who? He's aura farming. Let him aura farm. Stay with me. Oh! I said this way. Nah, nigga, you can turn the other cheek again.
Despite all this info, Aya still wants to try and save her father because she's much more scared of being alone than she is of death. We tried to get to our dad's laboratory where we heard him scream earlier, but it's blocked by a pile of dolls, and so we are forced to look for another way around, aka puzzle time. If you guys are new to this channel, you would not know that I absolutely despise puzzles because my brain doesn't compute well. Here, Yuri, why don't you just show a few clips of me getting angry at very simple puzzles because my peewee dumbass brain couldn't figure it out.
Art stuck here. Okay. Okay, hey. What? I know you're fucking lying! I know you're fucking lying, bro. This is all I'm talking about, man. How the fuck am I supposed to know the phone's just in this fucking... I'm about to kill somebody. Hold on. Where did you grab it? Come on, gamer Suge. My game is bugged! No! My game's bugged. What?
Exactly. Anyways, back to the game. Firstly, we go back to the room. Org is no longer there, so we take Snowball and we just go into another flashback. The main takeaway here is that the father has some healing properties because Aya was so worried as Snowball had hurt themselves, but he found the rabbit and healed them somehow. We then go back to the nursery and get jump scared.
Bad. Yeah, I'm about to see some crazy movements, bro. I'm about to break everybody's ankles. Oh! Okay, so why would you do that?
Great, yeah, I hate this game already. We then make our way to the library and we find some data entries on research subjects, and it showed stitched up people, very similar to the monsters we first met. But once we're finished reading, this child would appear saying how hurt he is, and when touching us, we'd go see what happened to him before his death, which was torture from the hands of our father. God, so he is just a madman. Or maybe he's doing all of this to bring his wife back. I'm not really sure yet. Back to solving stupid ass puzzles. Firstly, there is a safe in our mother's bedroom. We find a code, but it's in riddles. We have to count barrels, chandeliers, dolls, and paintings. And, you know, in Yuri fashion, I get hard stuck until I found out the answer. So just to preface this, right? Like I said, you have to find a bunch of different... You have to count for the numbers for the safe, right? For the digits, the 4-digit code for the safe. There's this last one. I get all the other numbers. I'm like, oh, I count the chandeliers, I count the barrels, I figure them all out. But there's this one thing in the doll room where you have to count how many red dolls there are. And I count 6. There are 2 extra dolls hiding in the corner because you have to interact with a curtain that is slightly dented. to indicate that something is behind there. 2, 7, 4, 6, 2. What? Let's try it again. 7, 6, 6, 2. What? Are like certain ones pink or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dude, I know for a fucking fact that this shit is... Oh no, this game's a troll. This game's trolling me. And even after all that, it continues, because we still have to get our mother's lantern, which I thought would be able to burn the pile of dolls, but no. We still have to find oil, and then a lighter, and then lighter fluid to ignite that lighter. And then, when collecting all the materials, we burn the pile of corpses out of the way. And the lighter. Oh, so I need... That's so silly. Okay. Fine. Sure, yeah, throw it. Get yeeted on, pussy. It burns, it burns, it burns, help me. Oh no. Don't run, you gotta watch what you did, girl. Also, I played the original version, and so you'll see some slight differences in the remastered one, such as the dolls that, you know, block the way to the laboratory is actually just a slop of flesh, which I'd say is much scarier and more grotesque. Moving past the mess, we would get back into the lab, but we would only see the doctor lady. She's hurt, and when we tell her that we heard father screaming, she would try and get up, but instead would pass out due to the injuries. Org again appears and tells us that the only way to find answers is to go deeper into this maze, and Aya listens and agrees.
Aga.
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 Aga. I'm gonna just say Aga. Ogre. How do you say ogre in English?
Orge.
Orge. His name is Orge. All right, Orge. There. That's his name. His name is Orge. Orge again appears, saying how slow we've been, and spells it out for us. Our mother is the one behind this curse. She hates Alfred due to him cheating on her, and now plans to kill him as revenge, just as Misa was a vessel of hate in the first game as well. Aya thinks for a moment and believes they were happy, that they had to have been happy, that they were a happy family, but just as quickly as she said this, doubt began to seep in. She must go deeper, she must find the answers. Going inside, she would find lost souls and help them one at a time. Like, for example, a headless man needs to find his body, so we direct him, and a woman needs some new eyes, so while searching for the house and a way to give her these eyes, we would find a mini chainsaw, and it brings back memories, and Aya isn't all there. Like, she likes playing with a mini chainsaw. Like, that's some psychotic behavior at a young age. She was in the courtyard, legit trying to, like, stab something. She said, ching, ching. I don't know if that's good. While walking back, we took the harlot's key from her body a little ways back, and we see in her room, and we get another memory. She was once homeless and starving, and our father took her in and planned to use her as a test subject. Put her into a cell with an injured man, I guess to see what would happen. But to everyone's surprise, Maria would treat his wounds, but the price was the clothes on her back. So when the father came back in to check on the patient, he was so much better, and thus he used Maria as his assistant due to her talents. But in the process, she began to fall for the man. Also, it's I don't know why this always happens in RPG makers, but it is made definitely clear that there's a huge age gap between the father and Maria. I had just figured that they were just close in age, but no, it seems in this memory she was clearly in her early teens, and he obviously was old enough to own a mansion, so I'd say late 20s, early 30s. Yuck. After reading all that, I get a QTE again.
Welcome back, Leon Kennedy. What the fuck happened to you? I felt something grab my leg. Oh, hell no! Pull the chainsaw out! No! I'm going to get dragged away!
Lucky for the girl, earlier we had found some spare eyes in our father's study, so once getting her the eye, she was able to open the gate herself and leaving a lever exposed for us to pull. Now with the large gate now open, we try and descend the stairs, but is trapped in a loop. A ghost girl, won't let us pass until we take her outside, which we do. But when taking her outside, we share an experience with that lady. And this time it's her running away from our father, as he chases her with a chainsaw. It's pretty messed up when you understand that Aya can feel everything the person can feel in this memory, in this recalling. And so she basically just got murdered from her own father. Now, free to go downstairs, we would come across a lady telling us to be quiet because if we make too much noise, well, this happens. But it's cool though. The doll lady just directs us to a hand lever, which we need to proceed further. But before we could put it to good use, we get grabbed again and pass out. And we have yet another memory. In this memory, our mother tells us that we should never hate our father, even when we grow and understand his job. We even promise our mother. Thus, that is why Aya is so hellbent on saving him. Robin, the blonde boy from the beginning of the game, say that they need to escape right now, but she doesn't want to go, while her father is still in here. Robin tries to tell her to just give up on the man, and I believe he was about to say that he's doing this because... Before he could finish that sentence, he gets stabbed. I believe he was going to say our mother told him to save us, which I am very confused on how that is, but hopefully the game spells it out for us. Maria tells Aya to leave it up to her to save the father, but high-key, low-key, she's probably going to get bodied because I could sense that there is some Monica and Maria got some beef, okay? I think the girlie's about to fight. But Aya would ignore Maria and presses on and solves puzzles. I fucking hate puzzles in video games, especially goddamn old RPG Maker games. Golly. Aya would eventually make her way down deeper into the cellar. Damn, she caught her first body, split her right open down the middle, and it seems to have taken a toll on her as she collapses soon after. Orange would find her and take her in. Aya would dream of when her mother gave her a good luck charm, and when waking up she'd smell her mom, only to find that this child has our mother's perfume and runs off with it. When we catch up to her, she laughs and tells us that she hid it somewhere and that we are going to need to find it. And when we do find it, a killer doll comes smooth out of the hiding spot. Like, bro, all this hate in your heart for what, man? For this next puzzle, we have to figure out how to get away from this killer doll because obviously we can't scrap with it. So we instead break its ankles and trap it in one of the cells. Later on, trying to enter a door, a doll won't let us through, and the girl basically tells us that we can kill the spirit by burning it alive. And so now our next objective is a way to get this doll to let us through. And so now we have the choice of figuring out another way or just killing it. We would then follow the young girl, as I presume she's taking us to where we can actually burn this doll alive, but behind the doors someone gets mad at her for helping us because helping her won't bring us back to normal. Oh, then we find her dead body. When we touch her, we see her memory. She was once a starving child on the streets of Germany. She had a knack for sticky fingers, which got her into a lot of trouble. One day, our father finds her on the street and takes her in, giving her food, a family, and a promise that she'll be a big sister to baby Aya, and then he kills her cruelly. With each passing moment, we learn just how evil our dad truly was. We'd come outside and try to collect the key, but a dog eats it, so we kill the dog and take the key from its stomach, allowing us access to this molten pit, which we drop the creepy doll because it was trying to imitate our mother. Nah, get yeeted, brother. And we finally get to proceed further. But at the door, a mysterious figure asks us, what are we going to do? And Aya still doesn't know. She knows her father is evil, but she promised her mother that she would always love him. Once going through the door, we would come to a portal room and Orange makes his appearance once again, saying that through this door, she'll find her mother and father, and he even gives us magic water to use against our mother when the time comes. Once Aya enters into the portal, Orange delights himself to see how the outcome will come to be, and he finds this very interesting to watch. And boom, Aya seems to be in the same realm as the Truth Route and Misao. She finally gets to speak to her mother, and she tells Aya she knew she'd come. And when Aya would ask why'd she do any of this, she'd snap. She knows Aya saw what Alfred, father, has done. But even still, this is just an excuse, as it turns out Monica, which is her mother's name, is extremely jealous and couldn't stand seeing Maria and Alfred get closer and closer. Thus, she just wanted to take the dad with her in the afterlife. Aya would eventually have to use the magic water which dispels the curse surrounding the mother, and her body would soon disappear. Being teleported out of the realm, Aya would crawl to her father, but before they could leave, Monica would use the last of her ghostly powers to show Aya the truth. In this memory, we see Alfred call us a doll. The mother once heard he had planned to make Aya into a beautiful masterpiece. When the mother would confront Alfred, she would tell him there's no way in hell that she's going to let him do that, and that she's going to take Aya away from this place. Alfred, being the psychopath he is, obviously does not like that idea, and thus he would kill her. It was never the sickness that actually got her. It was Alfred himself. What he did was so devastating that even Maria was shooken at his actions, but she remains loyal and keeps it from Aya. Aya would then ask if this was a dream, but the mother would confirm that this was no dream, but it was a memory. She then apologizes one last time, and we are back to the real world. Now with the truth in hand, Aya is actually scared of her father for once. Aya would try to run away from her father, but while doing so, she would uncover the damning truth. Her mother's corpse, now dollified. The father begins to laugh hysterically. Now that the cat's out of the bag, we can see his obsession for what it truly is. Psychotic. What was once a pure obsession, made of fear of the decay and of death, has now become a deluded and madman wanting to preserve what he perceives as beautiful. This truly reminds me of another title by the name of Mermaid Swamp. How, at the very end of the game, spoiler warning if you haven't watched the video or played the game, but the murderer would keep the women in water because he perceived their bloated bodies as beautiful. This is the same thing that Alfred is doing. He's perceiving what he thinks beauty is. A doll. Something that never ages. And he plans to do the same to his own daughter, Aya. And what's even more scary is most of what we've seen of the monsters are all from the hands of the doctor. He begins to talk about how he's done so many things. All these dolls are just his test subjects. He's merged animal with humans. He has reconstructed countless humans and even began putting different torsos, heads, and eyes, making bodies out of all of them. He's truly the incarnate of Sid from Toy Story. And Aya finally fully rejects her father. He would go to close the distance and she would run away. This would break him. He would ask, "Do you hate me now?" And he would then get his answer by her reluctance to get close to him. And he would go mad. We would run away from our father, and this would kickstart a quick time event, jumping over hurdles. Strangely, mannequins actually help block some doors, giving us time to escape, and even jumps in the way to become distractions or for the father. It's as if all the victims themselves are trying to help and stop yet another one of the victims from unfolding into a devastating tragedy. Aya would run so far that she would bump into Maria, and when the doctor would ask Maria to go and follow her, we would break Maria's ankles and she wouldn't be able to find us, and the doctor fucking loses it and kills her, or at least harms her very badly. He would then move on to the next room looking for Aya, but Aya would crawl out of that crawl space that she was hiding in and treat Maria's wounds, and even try to escape with her, but the wounds proved to be way too much and she's unable to walk and fully trips. She would then tell us that we need to get out of this place, we need to escape. And possibly the funniest and both scariest part of this game transpires.
Aya. Aya. Boo.
This dude is just not fucking serious. He's just having way too much fun. While running, one of the test subjects would literally grab Aya, rendering us immobile. And before the dad could deal the final blow, Maria would make her way into the scene, killing Alfred. Maria genuinely cares for Aya's safety, and she would hug her, saying how sorry she is to put her through all this trauma. But as it turns out, Alfred is a pretty tough son of a bitch and has not died from those multiple stab wounds, and lunges at us once more. Okay, now I think he's dead. Like, he's not moving from this, right? Like, I think he's got stabbed in the throat. I think he's done. Robin would come to save the day and escort the girls out of there. Right before leaving the mansion, Robin would mention that he does not want any of this to ever happen again, and thus he must burn it all down to the ground. He would give us one last good luck charm, a kiss on the forehead, and a bit of farewell. Maria and Aya would leave as a pair, but Maria would hold on to an uneasy feeling, and we get one of the most important scenes of the game. Humans are such utterly foolish creatures. I have seen countless many foolish humans, but you are the most foolish of them all. A human mad with desire is more fearsome than any devil, and yet I adore such foolish humans. Come with me. If you come with me, you may research to your heart's content. We come to a completely different scene. It seems that our girl Aya has grown a bit older, and now has followed in her father's footsteps, becoming a doctor. And quite tragically, it would seem as if the apple did not fall far from the tree, because, and quite literally, Aya has followed in the footsteps of the father. The woman comes to see Aya is obviously very ill, and instead of trying to save her, Aya has developed this sense of justice of putting things out of their misery. Just a cute excuse to get her fix of killing people. Just as her father was doing, saying that it was all simply to preserve them and their beauty, but in the end, he's just killing them. And that is the end of the game. Just like any other game on this channel, we have multiple endings that will tell us more about the story at hand. Within the game's events, you are able to collect these gems. These gems are usually hidden in places you wouldn't usually think to look. Or you can get these gems by helping out lost ghosts that you find along the way. However you get them, okay, whatever it is, if you're playing the original, there are 21 you have to collect. If you're playing the remake, that came out in 2019, 2020, you can only collect 20 of them. But when doing so and collecting all of the gems and getting the ending that we just previously saw, we would get an extra scene. And within the scene, we are shown Orge. Remember when we saw at the end of the game that he had plans for the doctor? Well, it seems like it was to create a clone or a doll of Aya. And then after completing all of those endings, we actually can get this what if route. It takes place in a time where Aya had passed out after her father's death. We see Robin speak to Maria, telling her that Monica wanted her to live and protect Aya. Then Robin would talk to Orge and ask what exactly is he. We learn that Orge seems to be somewhat of a morally gray character. His views on humans are very low and believes them to be boring, foolish creatures, always fighting, always conflict. His nature seems to be much more malicious as his red eyes glows, but just as he finds them boring, he has found a way to entertain himself with their existence. He gives those that have been wronged the power to kill those that have wronged them. He gives them the power of the curse that we've seen in both games. He watches as justice is enacted and finds it fascinating. And while this seems to come out of left field, believe me, this all ties into the story quite well. But right before the story concludes, it shows that Robin wasn't truly dead this entire time, and if Aya were to ever go down the same route as her father, he would have to stop her, which we do see end up happening. So in the end of the game, it's not a happy ending, it's an ambiguous one, it's a tragic one, and it's only one that implies that the cycle of pain is set to continue, the cycle of loneliness is set to continue. I'm just gonna put you guys here. Bada bing, bada boom, for me to make these things. But why not let's start a little new series called UriCooks? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Corey X Kenshin did it better, but he ain't here, is he? Before we get started, unfortunately, my kitchen's looking a little messy. Here, look, take a look, bro. It is not looking too good right now. We got a blender in the thing, and we got a lot of stuff, okay? We make a lot of dishes when we cook, and so we're gonna need to clean, so let's do that first. What's on the menu, what we're planning to make today is basically breakfast sandwich sliders. So I guess I don't really know the legit name for these, but I loved making them all the time in college, and they were super easy to make, super filling, and honestly, super fucking good. And so essentially what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 4 pieces of bread, we're gonna have them placed on a plate, we're gonna have super cheesy eggs with spinach inside, obviously salt, pepper, whatever you want on them. And then we're gonna top it off with some bacon and put some jelly on them bitches. And so, without further ado, let's get into it.
Oh God, it's so good.
Alright guys, taste test. We have our water, we have our food, And shit, are we ready to dig in? Because I'm ready to dig in. Like I said, we didn't have any jelly. I lied about the jelly part because I went and bought the wrong type of jelly where it's like peanut butter and jelly in the same thing. I said, oh my god, I don't have any jelly. So it's a little plain, it's just butter, but we have buttered bread, butter on cinnamon raisin English muffins. Then we have very cheesy omelet style with spinach, omelet, eggs on it with a piece of bacon on top. And so let us really get into it. Yeah, I needed that shit, bro. God damn. Really good. Well, thank you guys for stopping by and watching all the way through. If you guys haven't eaten breakfast yet, eat it. And if it's nighttime, make sure you eat breakfast tomorrow. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out and bye-bye. Now, before anything else, Mad Father is, personally, I think it's about Stockholm Syndrome and learning to come to terms with the fact that you don't need someone to live through this cruel world. You are strong enough. Mad Father is a very lonely tale. Every character within the story struggles with that fact. For example, Aya on multiple occasions within the game would rather die than be left alone. Monica's most vile and negative emotion did not want to go to the afterlife alone, but rather she wanted to take the man she hated with him. Maria was only loyal due to wanting to be by Alfred's side. Robin so badly wanted to live with both Maria and Aya, but chose to live a lonely life and watched him from a distance just in case he had to pack up Aya. And Alfred couldn't stand the concept of death and made it to where he would never be left alone again, no matter how much time would pass. And even Orge himself struggles with loneliness. Despite being a literal god of sorts, he uses Alfred to create something that could stand the test of time. This game is about loneliness and what many people would do to quell it. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was the connection between Mad Father and Misao. As I said, I played them a bit out of order, but I think that was a blessing in disguise as I was able to ingest the story much differently than others and was able to piece together some puzzle pieces. So let's start from the beginning, shall we? Let's try our damnness at creating a timeline of events.
Before there was time, before there was anything, there was nothing. And before there was nothing, there were monsters.
Adventure Time reference, but no, seriously. Before humans, creatures similar to Orge roamed the lands. They had the power to see spirits, interact with them even, travel through realms and lands as they pleased, quite possibly being the apex predators. Now, I do not know what happened to the others, if there were others, or if Orge was just a one-of-a-kind type of deal, but I do know is that he observed, watched, and analyzed, seeing the brutal and stupendous existence of humans. He watched as they killed over land, religion, and politics. He watched as they truly became vile creatures, and this excited him. His nature was always much more violent, but as he stated, what's the fun in watching evil without adversity? Using his powers, he would seek out very, very sad individuals who led lives filled with cruelty and gave them a choice. Exact revenge on all of them. And this is implied to be far from the first time Orge had done this, as when Aya would ask who he was, he answered, a salesman. Around the 1800s in northern Germany, a man by the name of Alfred would hate the idea of death and began using his talent as a surgeon to experiment on ways to keep the beauty of life eternal. He soon would lose his way. He'd take people off the street, those that he knew had no one and would be missed by no one. and he would kill them and experiment on them, lots of them, and make them into test subjects. Alfred even killed his own wife. Orge watched and saw this as an opportunity, giving Monica the choice to exact revenge and using the father for his own entertainment. Orge had grown tired of the pattern and wanted to create his own variable to put in the mix, and so he would use Alfred to create something not entirely human. Fast forward 2 centuries later, in Japan in 2003, the events of Misao would take place, but now he is calling himself Onigawara. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Misao doesn't really have any ties to Mad Father narratively other than maybe some Easter eggs, like seeing Alfred being cursed to walk these lands and his only objective to kill. The librarian also is another Easter egg, which is most likely the reflection of Aya, as when Aki calls Aya, her clone I guess, from her name, she would be surprised and say that basically only her father would call her that. So Aya seems to be the librarian, but that was like 200 years ago, so now it's probably not the real Aya that we know, it's probably the clone that we saw in the extra scene. One thing that I failed to explain in my previous video is the difference between male Aki and woman Aki. For one, male Aki does not like to harm. Female Aki has no problem doing so. The beginning of the game at the character creation, both Akis are split right down the middle. I believe this to be a very, very purposeful choice. And even when choosing who to hit and make the sacrifice towards the end of Misao, if you're playing male Aki, he doesn't want to do it, but something compels him to do it. Maybe his other half, perhaps. And probably the most damning evidence is the fact that we know that Aki wears orange contacts, but has natural red eyes, just like Orge does. Obviously, Aki doesn't know of Orge, but he sure as hell knows of them. And it's my theory that he had grown tired of humans making these decisions to kill and forgive, and he wanted a fresh perspective. A being of Org and human blood, thanks to the experimentations from the mad scientist himself, Alfred. And that's why in the truth ending of Misao, Orge gives Aki a chance to play judge, carefully watching what his creation would do. But that's all just a theory. I have no idea, so do with that information as you will. You see, for me at least, loneliness has been a staple point of my life for the past 5 months. As you guys know, and I've probably mentioned this over and over and over again, but it's because it is probably the most pivotal thing that's happened to me up until my life right this second. And loneliness is hard. When you have someone with you, it truly does feel like you are able to tackle the world at your own disclosure, right? When I had that person, I knew that even if I fell, someone would be able to pick me up. I knew that if I were to do something great, praise was coming my way. I knew that if any storm would blow through, I'd be able to weather it because I had to. I had to stick around. I had to be proactive. I had to have motion. I had to do these things because when you are surrounded by people that you look up to, surrounded by people who are on a certain frequency, you try to match that frequency. If someone is always out working, getting their job done, getting money, doing whatever they want to do, you're not going to sit down and bum around because you guys aren't going to be friends for long. And that's how it felt when I had my ex. When I was sitting around and we were working, she pushed me to do better. And I felt like she made a better person out of me. Obviously, I think that was all just a facade. I think I was looking at it through rose-tinted glasses, but it's truly how I felt. And so when that ended, loneliness was hard, man. It was hard. It hurt. I love working really hard by myself during the day and then coming home to see a person waiting for me. I loved driving out to see this person in anticipation. I love that. I loved holding hands, hugging, kissing, sleeping together. I did. All these things, I really felt that it was extremely joyous. And when that bit pretty much disappeared, it left me with a very big void. And for a lot of people, they were saying that I was codependent on her. People were saying that the fact that you're feeling like this is a problem. And I feel like I can see where they're coming from, and maybe I wasn't expressing myself clearly enough when I was telling them about my worries. But I don't think I was ever codependent. I think there's a fine line between codependence and love. And I think if you love someone, you kind of grow to be codependent on them. I don't think it's such a naturally evil thing to be dependent on someone. Obviously, being overly codependent on someone is a bad thing, but I don't think that was me. I more so think once that was gone, there was very little that could ever replace it. And I wasn't talking about the person, I'm not talking about the sex, I'm talking about the feeling. I'm talking about what they brought to me physically. I can't hold hands with someone. I can't lay with them and feel comfortable in their presence. I can't find that feeling again, and it's lonely. Like when I go out and hang out with friends, I can't let loose like I used to. When I hang out with family, I hang out and I show them a different side, and it's still not my true side because I've been raised a certain way to put on a certain mask to present myself in a certain light. When I'm around really, really close friends, I tend to also do the similar thing where it's like, it's not me. It's me, but it's not me. It's not the me that I've grown accustomed to when I was around her. And I think that's lonely. I think that's where the loneliness really strikes from. It's not so much as being physically lonely. It's more so about missing a part of you that you probably will never see again. There's something incredibly humanizing when you go out, have a lot of fun, and you come back to an empty home. Quiet, somber, loneliness. And I can see why Aya was so afraid of being left alone, because if you had someone that brought you light and happiness every single day, and even when the bad times were bad, they were still good, why would you want to lose that? If you were a happy family and you truly felt like everything was the way it was meant to be, why would you want to go into a different reality? You wouldn't. I'll answer that question. You wouldn't. And so I think this game really did speak to me in that sense, where I get it. I understood. I really did. Well, it's been Yuri Plays, Yuri Senpai, Yuri Clark, whatever you know me by. That's exactly who I am. It's been Mad Father. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you've enjoyed what you saw. Maybe stick around. I know it got a little emotional at the end there. But if you enjoyed what you saw, do the Holy Trinity for me. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm thinking Little Nightmares, but if you want something different, let me know. I'll see you guys soon. Peace out. Goodbye. Peace.